Hi everyone, it's Ren here. Welcome to this Parisian room. I hope you're well today, guys. I'm dressed the same as I was dressed the day before because I'm actually recording these videos in a row. Turns out I have a bit of time before the wife is ready, so there you go. I wanted to make this video to talk about, not the difference between FI lead and TI lead, because I think a bit more exploration has to be done on that front, including with my partner today as we wander the streets of Paris, explore parks, and visit museums. But the different kinds of INFJ at a very broad level, and I was kind of wondering what type of INFJ do you think you are, what subtype that is, or if you are an INFJ, of course. That probably applies to INTJ too, by the way. So if you're an INTJ, you can probably just transpose some of the functions and answer that question as well. I'll let you do the transposing yourself. But by the kind of INFJ, I wanted to kind of offer three subtypes. The pure perception INFJ is one of them. The sort of proactive INFJ is another. So pure perception, the proactive, and the analytical INFJ, right? It's a third one. So obviously there can be combinations of the three, but there's probably how to put it, there's probably like a one of the three that is kind of dominant in you, and sometimes some of you will be heavily leaning toward one of them, and others among you might be more leaning toward other ones. So before I move on to my topic, there's a bunch of links in the description box that you might be curious to have a look at. I don't have the books here in my hands to show you, but you know that I have written a book on the INFJ called The Ecstatic Soul. You can check the links below for less than $10. You get one of the, the sort of recent classic books on the INFJ type. If you're interested in like exploring the INFJ in depth, this is the book to get. You have it in ebook and in paperback format, so check all the links. And also my book of fiction, The Infinite Castle, if you're into existentialism, postmodernism, Kafka, Dostoevsky, Murakami, and generally into INFJ protagonists that are tortured and dark. This is a book to check out as well. All the links below. And don't forget, you can support me on Patreon, because that massively helps the channel, and you can support from like $3-4 a month. And I try to kind of share stuff on there as well as much as I can, but it massively helps me to continue to produce this channel. So thank you very much. So in terms of these three subtypes that I was talking about, I think that the obviously these thoughts are also stimulated by the fact I'm spending all these days with my partner, and we're kind of two INFJs, and it's inevitable that we're going to be comparing each other a little bit in terms of obviously some of our similarities, but also some of our differences. And she can hear me as I speak, so she might have some commentary to offer later on when we're actually exploring Paris, but we'll see. I was suggesting these three differences between the pure perception INFJ, the proactive INFJ, and the analytical INFJ. So I think the easiest to start with is the proactive INFJ. The proactive INFJ is an INFJ that probably in some ways has similarities with an ENFJ, except that they're clearly introverted and have the hallmarks of the INFJ personality. But they're INFJs that are kind of, how to put this, not necessarily that are like achievers or that they want to achieve things, but they need to be doing things. They need to have projects going and to be completing things. They need just to be getting on in life, and the thing is, this might seem obvious, but a lot of INFJs are actually not really like that. A lot of INFJs take a more slightly passive and disengaged stance towards the world, and like to sort of be thinking and not really, they seem as if they're not proactive, and that applies a lot to the pure perception INFJ, but it also applies to the analytical INFJ. The proactive INFJ might come across as if they're less into pure perception or even into analysis to a degree, because they want to just get stuff done, so that's one type. In fact, I think that's probably the type that I'm closest to myself, although I think that I have quite a bit of the analytical INFJ in there as well. Now, the analytical INFJ is the INFJ that is more likely to look like a TI lead, I think. Maybe also like an FI lead, except that because the INFJ has TI in their function stack and not FI, they're going to look much more like a TI lead, whether it's an INTP or an ISTP, than an ISFP or an INFP. What I've noticed about the analytical INFJ is, first of all, they need to question a lot of what they hear and engage with it critically. So again, it's the intervention of functions of judgment and not pure perception, but it's more sort of directed inside at the internal frameworks of coherence that the INFJ possesses, rather than getting stuff done on the outside. Because a lot of the time with strongly FE INFJ that are the sort of proactive ones, something about JE, whether it's FE or TE, is that in order to get things done across the day, you need to be able, and someone on Discord at some point phrased it like this, and I thought that was so accurate, said, it's about thinking, okay, this is good enough, I can do it like this. This is good enough, having a notion of something being good enough, and you can get stuff done. The TI lead, the pure TI lead, but also the analytical INFJs in a lot of ways, are often not happy with this is good enough. They want it to be perfect. They're perfectionists. They want it to be exactly aligned with what they have in mind for their vision of it, which can then conflict with getting stuff done, because you spend a lot more time refining and perfecting this one thing that you're getting done. So instead of getting like 4 or 5 things done, maybe you get 1 or 2. So you get less done, and you're happy internally, but it might not be seen by other people from the outside. And it doesn't matter to the analytical INFJ, because that's how they operate. Now, I think, and again, I might be disagreeing later in the day, but I think that perhaps my partner belongs more to this subcategory of INFJ, the analytical INFJ. I have that in me too, but I think I'm more able than she is to get to the that's good enough point, and then let's move on. I used to think maybe it was also about a difference between male and female, but I actually think now that, the analytical INFJ is probably spread out equally between male and female, and maybe similarly for the other types. Now, the pure perception INFJ is an interesting one that I have seen a lot online, particularly on Discord. In fact, I've seen them in the cognitive type community maybe most. They're the most representative type of INFJ in the cognitive type communities. In fact, you might almost suggest that for cognitive type, and based on their voltological tool of analysis, NIFE, to get an NIFE typing, especially standard development, but also different types of development, you must be, in one way or another, a pure perception INFJ. If you're if you identify as an analytical INFJ, you're probably going to get TI dominant in cognitive type, ISTP most likely, or rather TISC. If you're a proactive INFJ like myself, you're probably going to get an FENI typing, something like that. And it's not to say that this is, one method or the other is the more correct one. It's just there are different systems of reference and different frameworks to approach knowledge claims. So, they're both equally valuable within their own structures. But the pure perception INFJ is in some way the least active one, is the one that is, well, I mean, it depends, on one level they seem very, very amorphous and very viscous, is a term that CT uses or used to use to describe the body language or the body behavior, body vibe of an INFJ. Is they seem to just be taking in information and passively sort of letting it come in and not necessarily come out. So they in Enneagram terms, they might have a bit of a type 9 vibe to them. They don't seem to be very proactive. But funny enough, they might actually be more proactive than the analytical INFJ, because at least they're not questioning everything, including what they do, as much. So for example, I think it's quite likely that someone like Rupert Sheldrake, if you're familiar with him, is a pure perception INFJ, hence also his different frameworks. I think Carl Jung is a very, very healthy mix of the 3 types, which might also be one of the reasons why he is so complete. If you read his works, you get a sense of the proactive INFJ, and he wrote so many books, analytical to lay out and structure his theories, but also pure perception to get to the level of depth and insight that he did. Anyway, I really want to know what type of INFJ you identify with among these 3 subtypes. Let me know in the comments, and don't forget about my books, and also about my Patreon. Guys, I will see you at the weekend. Looking forward to seeing you then. Take care. Bye-bye.